We were told that on Christmas Eve we would have the largest audience that had ever listened to a human voice. And the only instructions that we got from NASA was, do something appropriate.
The Interplanetary Podcast. The exploration of space for the benefit of all mankind. Your hosts here in London, Matthew Russell and Jamie Franklin.
Wow.
What do you think?
You know who I reckon said that?
Who said it?
Frank!
Frank Borman on Apollo 8.
Frank! Did that sound like Pat Butcher?
You did sound a bit like, well, no, actually you didn't sound like...
Frank!
That's better.
It's a bit better, isn't it?
There, you've got it. You've nailed it now.
Oh, man, Apollo 8. Good days, Matt.
Because there's so much to talk about. And this is our Christmas special, everyone.
Matt, you know what? Not only would I like to wish you a very Merry Christmas, but can I wish a Merry Christmas to our listeners?
You can wish Merry Christmas to all our listeners. Go, do it.
Right, all three of you, season's greetings.
Happy Christmas.
Matt, we're going to have to learn Happy Christmas in lots of languages, because as you know, we're multinational.
We're international. Check the statistics.
Oh, we don't like to talk about it. Do you think we still got a listener? Still got one listener in North Korea?
I think so, yeah. I think we've got several listeners in North Korea.
Whether you're secular or religious, season's greetings. Doesn't all have to be about religion, Matthew. You know what? I think it should just be about spending time with the ones you love over the green triangles.
Yeah.
In the Quality Street tin.
Yeah. And
my personal fave. So if you want to send in, Matt will be putting up our office address. Please send them in. Well, guys, happy Christmas. And what a week. Because, you know, everyone's winding down now for Christmas. Well, you know what, Matt? It's been a long time since I've thrown a really exciting number and a bunch of letters at you.
Yeah.
How about the NGC 2264?
The NGC.
What does that mean to you?
That means the Christmas tree cluster to me. That's what that means.
What about the Cone Nebula?
The Cone Nebula.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of the Cone Nebula. Discovered by William Herschel on Boxing Day, 1785.
It's a good year, that vintage year.
Yeah, so yeah, Herschel, famous British astronomer.
Matt, have you ever heard of the Snowflake cluster?
Do you know what? Not only have I heard of all of these, Jamie, I have taken I've taken photos of them outside of in my garden. I've gone out in my garden on Christmas Day a few years ago and taken a picture of NGC 2264, the Christmas tree cluster, because I just thought it's just so beautiful. If you look up at Orion and then you turn left essentially at Orion. And it's left. Kind of the midpoint between Procyon and Betelgeuse. You will notice a little tiny cluster there. And in binoculars, you can just about see the Christmas tree cluster and the shape of a Christmas tree. And it really genuinely does look like a Christmas tree where the nebulosity has kind of caused the Christmas. Has caused the Christmas tree shape.
Is it true that all snowflakes are individual?
Yeah. It's a bit like every single pack of cards is individual. Once you've shuffled them, it'll be totally unique. That set of cards won't have ever existed before.
Really?
Yeah, really.
I'm not sure about that one. I'm sure that the probability is that someone shuffled a pack of cards the same as the other person.
One other probability is that they haven't, but that doesn't mean that hasn't happened.
Oh. Well, this is already an interesting episode, Matt.
52 factorial or something like that. There we go. Just multiply 52 by 51, multiply it by 50, multiply it by 49, and then you get the chance that pack of cards has been...
Quick maths!
So go out on Christmas Day and try and look for the Christmas tree nebula with a nice pair of binoculars or a telescope. It's a very good thing to do.
What about the Fox Fir Nebula?
Well, the Fox Fir Nebula, you'll never see that with a naked eye.
I'm hoping it's faux fur, Matthew.
Well, yes. It's if it was made from foxes, being that it's a few light years across, that's an awful lot of foxes.
That would be a good fact, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It just looks a little bit like fox fur if you view it in a certain way, but not in a way that you could have done with a naked eye. So all of these things have kind of been made up since then. But yeah, the Cone Nebula, is it looks like a cone. It genuinely looks like a road traffic cone made out of a huge pillar
when you
of
said
dust.
Cone, I thought you meant ice cream cone.
Well, I suppose it is like an ice cream cone, except the other way up,
upside down.
But there is no up or down in space, James. Jamie, there is no up or down in space.
There is no up or down.
You can have it as an ice cream cone or as a whatever you want. Just have it as whatever you want.
Answers on a postcard.
How far away do you think the Cone Nebula is in light years?
Oh, I don't know. 4.653.
No, 2,600.
Oh, I was close as well.
You were absolutely nowhere near. 2,600 light years away. But
of course I knew that. I'm just trying to... What I don't want to do is intimidate our listeners.
No, true.
With my knowledge.
Now, being that Star Wars came out this week, I thought we should talk about parsecs.
Let's not talk about that.
See, we're told... I cannot...
Still upset.
I genuinely...
Still upset.
Are you... I just can't... Listeners... Just so you know, I thought that the latest Star Wars was one of the best films I've ever seen, and it's certainly for me, up there with the greatest of the Star Wars films. It's up there with Empire, man.
I'm glad you said for you. Oh my God, up there with Empire.
Yeah, totally. It totally is, Jamie.
You know what you can do, Matt? You can. I mean, seriously. You can't be a Star Wars fan if that's what you think. You probably think the Jar Jar Binks films are good.
No.
Utter disgrace.
Jamie,
up there with Empire.
Just remember
Jamie,
just remember Brian Blessed was Boss Nass, and that we shouldn't talk ill of those films. But no, they are dreadful. They are truly dreadful. However, I genuinely thought it's inspired. I was really inspired coming out of the cinema.
I'm happy that you enjoyed it. And you know what? Like all art, including movies, it's good that it divides people. Unfortunately, I'm right. But
no. Listeners, but if you remember a few weeks ago, Jamie said he liked Prometheus, so his opinion is worthless.
Yeah.
So
we're even now.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I think most listeners will agree.
On.
Anyway, so 800 parsecs, that's how far away the Cone Nebula is. It's 800 parsecs. And I thought we'd talk about this because obviously parsecs comes up in Star Wars quite a bit because of the Kessel Run and the fact that and they sort of use it as a measurement of time when really it's a measurement of distance.
Actually, it's distance.
Yes.
He says, pushing his national health glasses further up the bridge of his nose. Talking about me, not you, Matt.
It's in the Cone Nebula is in the constellation of Monoceros.
Which means...
Mono.
One. Singular.
And Soros.
Corn on the cob.
Corn on the cob, yeah. So, Monoceros is a unicorn in Greek.
Oh,
yeah,
what?
There
Get
we go.
out of here.
Yeah. So, the Cone Nebula is in the constellation of the unicorn, Monoceros.
Do you know what, Matt? Most people, when they hear the word unicorn, think it's just a bit... They probably think it's a bit silly, which of course it is. But do you know what it makes me think of?
What?
The greatest sci-fi film ever made, Blade Runner.
What? Oh, yes.
Take that, Star Wars fans. Yeah, I said it. What?
Yeah, I'm not. I think most people would agree that Blade Runner is a work of genius. That's one thing we can agree on. So we're back together again now, Jamie.
We're back together. The universe is now at harmony again.
It's complete. But
let's talk about
the parsec. I haven't finished with my parsec yet. I want to tell people what it is. So a parsec is the distance from the sun to an astronomical object that has a parallax angle of 1 arc second. So if there was a star, that was exactly a parsec away, when the Earth was one side of the sun, it would move by 1 arc second in the night sky once the Earth got to the other side of the sun. How about that?
Is it?
Do you understand? That's how.
I do. I don't know why you needed to explain it. Surely everyone knew that.
So that's how a parsec is defined. And of course, if you think about it, par comes from the parallax error bit, and sec comes from the arc second. A parsec. That's cool, isn't it?
Well, Matt, we've all learnt something today.
Yes.
I don't know what that is, but we've all learnt something.
You should have learnt it a few months ago when I quickly covered Parsec on the show then. But I just thought it was worth doing again. I like the Parsec. I think it's a very, very good measurement. A British person. It was first mentioned by a British astronomer. Just so you know, I think.
Actually, talking of British, Matt, we've got an exciting interview for this podcast.
Yes,
that we're just going to casually drop it in because, now that we're big time podcasters,
we just drop this one.
Getting someone on like our next guest is just, it's just what we do, isn't it?
Yeah. So this week, back in 1999, well, in fact, tomorrow, I woke up this morning because I tweeted...
Is this a blues song?
Yeah, it's a blues song. I woke up this morning.
Woke up this morning.
And I tweeted to Station Commander Scott Kelly. Because he flew up. He flew up in pretty much on exactly...
99, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1999. He flew up... God, Prince was getting really excited at this time, wasn't he? Because he must have gone, yes, my song's going to be really big. And he must have been at number one then. So, back in December 1999, there we were all waiting for the millennium. But I tell you who wasn't waiting for the millennium was Scott Kelly and Michael Foale. And they were just about to go up on STS-103. And Station Commander Scott Kelly thanked me for reminding him this morning. So that was a pretty good way to wake up.
Cheers, Commander.
Cheers, Commander Scott. And it was my pleasure to remind you. And yes, they were up doing the third servicing mission of the Hubble Space Telescope. So they spent not only Christmas, but the new millennium in space.
I like the way you said millennium then.
Yeah, Millennium Falcon. so yeah.
Let's just move on.
So Michael Foale. So we've got an interview with our interview with Michael Foale.
Absolutely, just casual. We'll just drop that in.
So we'll just drop that in. But I want to talk about Apollo 8 before we go to Michael Foale.
Let's do it.
So Apollo 8 has got so many firsts. And we're just about to hit the anniversary, not quite the big one, because next year it will be 50 years since Apollo 8. But
50 years.
But today it is 49 years ago that the second manned spaceflight of the Apollo space program flew. And these are the firsts. It's the first manned spacecraft to leave Earth orbit.
Tick.
It's the first Christmas for humans in space.
Tick.
Frank Borman, James Lovell, and Bill Anders, were the first people to see Earth as a whole planet.
Tick, tick, tick.
They were the first people to pass through the Van Allen belts, which we'll get onto in a little bit.
It's a controversial one.
At that point, they were the fastest humans that had ever travelled by quite a long way. They were the first people to enter the gravity well of another celestial body. They were the first people to orbit another celestial body. They were the first people to see the far side of the moon with their own eyes. They were the first people to take a picture and to see an Earth rise. And they were the first people to escape the gravity well.
Which is one of my favourite pictures ever. Incredible. Was it flat, Matt? Was it flat when they took
Yeah, it's totally. Well, it's a disc, isn't it?
Yeah,
it literally looks like a paper plate out there in
turtle under it,
floating in space. And they're the first people to re-enter the gravitational well of Earth after leaving the gravitational well of another body. I mean, it's just that so many firsts. It's actually insane, isn't it?
What I like is that when you talk about it, it is mind blowing. But imagine doing it.
It just doesn't.
Because you can't. None of us can imagine it. Of course, you can imagine it, but I just can't think what it would be like.
Do you know,
to go to another world?
Well, this is kind of what it must have been like, because Borman, James Lovell, and Anders, they didn't go to sleep at all. It was 32 and a half hours into the flight before James Lovell went to sleep. So that and they were doing so much stuff. What's amazing is loads of when you read the transcript of what's happening on that space mission, even though it takes them 3 days to get to the moon, they are absolutely frantically working behind the scenes, like doing stuff, calculating trajectories and everything. It's unbelievably complicated.
I don't think they slept that well either, did they?
No, I
don't think you would you?
Well, there was. We could talk about Bill Anders was actually pretty ill. Oh no, Frank Borman, was pretty ill. So Frank Borman, he just started. He tried to go to sleep, and then he just couldn't get to sleep because of the noise of the spacecraft and all the radio chatter, etc., etc. So he asked permission to have a sleeping pill. Then he had another one, and then he got to sleep for a little bit, but woke up and was vomiting everywhere and had bouts of diarrhea, which left. I mean, this is grim. That left the spacecraft full of small globules of vomit and feces.
Oh no!
So
that's not.
So it's pretty.
That's not like the images of when they throw the M&Ms around, is it?
No. Well, it is a bit like throwing a load of brown M&Ms around, I suppose.
Oh,
brown and carrot-coloured ones.
Oh man!
No,
stop.
so it must have been pretty grim. Now at the time,
sorry to anyone that's listening to this at lunchtime.
So I think they thought that at the time. I think they thought that it was he must have had an adverse reaction to the sleeping pills. But nowadays, modern day researchers think that he was probably suffering from space adaptation syndrome, or SAS. And the reason why they hadn't suffered from it before in the old Gemini capsules was because they couldn't really move around, and moving around apparently increases the chances of you getting this space adaptation syndrome. So Frank Borman suffered from it really, really badly.
And I assume that, as trained as you can be, you still must be incredibly nervous and apprehensive that at any moment you could die.
I don't think they're nervous or apprehensive. I think that's one of the things that they train. I think when you listen to people like Commander Hadfield and people like that, that is the part of their training that's really, really important, and it's one of the things of why they're chosen in the first place. These are people with nerves of steel, and so that they're trained to not get stressed or nervous about death. That they in the back of their mind, that just must be just purely a working hazard, rather than
suppose so.
Then I think otherwise you just wouldn't be able to function. There's just so much going on.
Yeah.
So it's pretty grim though. So imagine having so little sleep, and apparently this lack of sleep ended up being really quite dangerous during the mission because they started making loads and loads of mistakes when they were actually when they were orbiting the moon. They started not understanding instructions from the Earth and started making mistakes. And Frank Borman was asleep and kept waking up and hearing Lovell making loads of mistakes and thinking, "Oh no, I'm going to have to get up now because this is like it's like a nightmare." So they took it.
I mean, making mistakes in a rocket it's probably not the best place to do it.
Well, yeah, and one of the kind of scariest moments is the fact that. One of the sort of big moments would have been on Christmas Day as well. So, Christmas Day they had to do a burn to get them out of lunar orbit and back to Earth, and they would have been waiting to see if that burn had been successful on Christmas Day, and only finding out on Christmas Day. It just would have been, oh my word, this is a bit stressful.
All I want for Christmas is to be recaptured by Earth's orbit.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit weird, doesn't it?
Earth's gravity.
Stressful just listening about it.
It is pretty stressful. Apollo 8 took 3 days to get to the moon.
Yeah.
And it orbited 10 times over the course of 20 hours. And during those orbits, those 20 hours, they made their very famous Christmas Eve television broadcast.
Absolutely amazing.
And I'm going to play a snippet of that because they read the first 10 verses from the book of Genesis. Here we go.
Let's play it.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness.
How cool is that?
That is cool, isn't it?
So I tell you who didn't find it cool.
Oh.
Madeleine Murray O'Hair, founder of the American Atheists, responded by suing the US government, saying, well, it's violating the First Amendment, according to her.
Do you know what, Matt? I've got to agree.
Yeah.
Space isn't a place for religion.
Well, no, I agreed, but having read their because if you remember the quote I came in with right at the beginning of the show, it was literally up to them what they read, and they decided that Genesis were the best band on the planet at the time. No, that Genesis Genesis was common to a lot of religions. Therefore, the Jewish, the Islamic, and Christian religions would all recognise that as a kind of text, and that's why they read it. They thought it was a bit more universal than just a religious text. But I'm with you actually, Jamie. I think it would have been nice to have like a message that was somehow all encompassing of all humanity, regardless.
Absolutely, because ultimately what you're doing is you're segregating people. Whereas I think if you just have a nice message, then you're not. You're including everybody.
Well,
that's.
Yeah,
what I think.
But I mean, still pretty cool, and it's so cool.
It's still cool because it's space chat,
and and it's been used in a lot of popular culture as well. You may have recognised it from Michael Jackson's song "History" from his album History. You may have recognised it from MGMT's song "Come on Christmas." Yeah. And you may recognise it from the gloriously cool "The Songs of Distant Earth" by Mike Oldfield.
That is so prog.
Yeah, well, the amount
every
of prog,
episode
of
there's
the
a
amount
lot of prog chat, isn't there?
Yeah, there
is.
Yeah, but there are so many prog bands who've used that particular section as their,
really?
Going over their 7/8 time section where they're going from different time signatures with some widdly diddly keyboard solo, and they have that in the background. It's a classic.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I might do one myself.
Amazing. Hats off.
And and the United States Postal Service brought out a stamp with the Earthrise picture and a small little quote from the from that particular reading. There we go.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed.
So yeah, they came back to Earth on December the 27th. And it splashed down in the North Pacific Ocean, and they became 1968's Men of the Year in Time magazine.
Matt, let me ask you, do you think that we will be Men of the Year in 2017 on Time magazine?
I think we've missed out this time because I think Trump's got it, according to him. According to Trump, he's Man of the Year, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he'll definitely
get it. But no, I think 2018 for our coverage of Falcon Heavy.
What are we going to wear? Well, I'll tell
I'm
you
wearing
what we should wear,
I'm
Matt.
wearing my Big Bird outfit.
We should. I think we should wear the Interplanetary Podcast T-shirt available from all good online merch stores.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I'm wearing on over the top of my Big Bird outfit.
When I say available from all,
you mean
what I mean is,
the website?
Matt, can you post up the link to the only one that has it, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, absolutely. I'm going to talk about the orbital mechanics of this. I know it's going to bore you to tears here. No, Jamie, this is really cool. This is really cool.
Better be, because
So, Apollo 8, it goes up into the up. When it goes up, it gets into a circular orbit around the Earth at exactly 100 nautical miles high, right?
Okay.
Perigee and apogee, roughly the same.
Live together
in perfect harmony. So, yes, at about... In fact, in Apollo 8, it was 99.57 nautical miles. But as the propellant vents out of the spacecraft, it added a few more miles on top, about 6 miles on top, just from the venting of the propellant. How cool is that?
Matt, let me ask you this. Why is it nautical miles in space?
Do you know what? I don't know, Jamie.
I think someone's going to... if I know our listeners,
someone will know why
I
nautical
think someone's
miles.
someone's gonna let us know.
So anyway, yeah. So it's in this parking orbit just to make sure that everything is all right. Now this is my favourite bit. You're going to like this bit. So then that's followed by translunar injection. TLI.
Oh, yes.
And that's done by the third stage of the Saturn V, which is the S4B or the SIVB. And that burns for 318 seconds, and it accelerates the spacecraft to the moon at almost the escape velocity of Earth. Right, so that is now flying off, and it's going 25,500 feet a second, or 7,800 meters per second, flying towards the moon now.
Pretty quick.
Now, you think, well, what happened to this third stage of the Saturn V? Well, I'll tell you what. It once it's done its job, it flies off, and then that is inserted into an orbit that then is in orbit around the sun. So that the third stage of the Saturn V, that one is in orbit around the sun now. Pretty much.
How close
does
it get to the sun?
Well, I guess it's in a similar.
I mean, how does it not burn up?
No, it's orbiting round the sun.
It's
No, it's orbiting. It's
close.
orbiting round the sun like the Earth is. So it's about the same distance out. It's somewhere in between the moon and the Earth, but orbiting round at that distance.
That is cool. Thinking that that's still going.
Yeah, no, and it'll be there for God knows, like millions of years probably. And some of the third stage of the Saturn V's went into orbit round the Earth, but after Apollo 13. They started crashing them into the moon so that they could take seismic measurements. So they actually used the third stage of the Saturn V, as a way of generating seismology experiments.
That is mad.
How brilliant is that? So just
Matt, you know what? I was sceptical.
Yeah,
but I really enjoyed that last 2 minutes.
Yeah, see, I knew you would.
I'm a bigger man than to just poo-poo it. I genuinely enjoyed it, and I want to say I'm sorry for doubting you, Matt.
And not only that, when we talk about perigee and apogee, right?
Yeah.
When you get to the moon, when you go into orbit, it's no longer perigee and apogee. It's now periloon and apolloon. Yeah?
Get out of here.
No. So it went into an elliptical orbit around the moon, 60 miles periloon and 168 miles apolloon. How cool is that? And then that gets circularized by a few burns, the really stressful burns. But what's amazing is, and David Baker talked about this, is about mascons or mass concentrations. So these mascons are where Earth and indeed Mars are exceedingly uneven gravity-wise. So when you're in orbit around the Earth, but Earth is pretty even, so that, most satellites don't get perturbed by anything. But when you're around the moon, you go all over the place. There's lots of perturbated motion, and you have to
perturbated motion.
Yeah, so so you have to continually adjust your orbit. Otherwise, you would just drift hopelessly out of control very, very quickly because of this.
If there's going to be any arguments over Christmas dinner, Matt, when you're with the family, are you gonna grab someone by the lapels, pull them into you, and tell them to adjust their orbit?
Yeah. So what was the furthest away Apollo 8 got? It got to 234,000 miles away. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Sweet relief. That is some distance.
So when the spacecraft came out from behind the moon for its fourth pass across the front, Borman saw the Earth emerging from the lunar horizon and then literally got very excited. Quick, everyone, have a look. He'd managed to take a black and white photograph, so that's the first one. But Anders took Earthrise, which was later picked by Life magazine, as you correctly pointed out earlier on, was picked out by Life magazine as one of its 100 photos of the century.
It's just incredible.
Now, here's another story that you're going to love about Apollo 8. You ready for this?
Go on.
So,
Yeah.
so there's James Lovell, and he's old Jim Lovell, and he's getting a bit bored. So he's spending some of his idle time doing some navigational sightings, manoeuvring the module to view various stars by using the computer keyboard. However, he accidentally erased some of the computer's memory, which made the inertial measurement unit, the IMU, to think that the module was in the same relative position it had been before liftoff. This is very similar to how this is very.
That sounds really dangerous.
So it then starts firing off its thrusters to try and correct the module's attitude. But once the crew had realised what the hell was going on, it took Lovell 10 minutes to figure out the right numbers, then using the thrusters to get the stars Regal and Sirius aligned, and another 15 minutes to enter the correct data into the computer. So basically,
God.
So 16 months later, Lovell had to do the same manoeuvring on Apollo 13 when it all went wrong. And his joke was, my training on Apollo 8 came in handy. But in the same book, he dismissed the incident as a planned experiment. But he has since acknowledged that the incident was indeed an accident caused by his mistake.
Well, it's good that he's double-backed.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, all of the crew thought that Apollo 8 had a 50-50 chance of success. So that whole idea of them being scared is, I mean, like, you know, it'd have only have taken...
Very brave people.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if a burn had lasted slightly shorter than it was supposed to, they would have missed going into lunar orbit and just been flung into space forever.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And 1968 in America was a pretty... in the world was a pretty monumental year. There were so many horrible things going on with assassinations and political unrest that one of the telegrams that Borman received after the mission stated, "Thank you, Apollo 8. You saved 1968." It really was. It's hard to see now, but it probably was just such a moment of hope.
Needed, wasn't it?
Yeah, such a moment of hope for the whole world. But there we go. So do you know where do you
absolutely.
know where the Apollo 8 is now? Where they keep it?
In Osaka?
No, it's not. That's where it went in 1970.
Oh, it's not there anymore.
It went to Osaka in Japan for Expo 70. But it's in the Chicago Museum of Science and Industry.
Got it.
But for all the people in Britain who want to go and see a little bit of this history, you can of course go to the Science Museum and see Bill Anders' spacesuit, which is on display there.
Oh,
and I think it's next to Helen Sharman's spacesuit. So yeah, there we go. It's a pretty cool thing to go and check out. So when was the next time Christmas was celebrated in space?
1973.
1973. Aboard what?
That would have been the Skylab.
Yes, brilliant. You got it. You smashed it out of the park there.
Smashing this.
And of course, it's just a common occurrence on the International Space Station.
Yeah, big time. I mean, it's not a big deal, is it? I tell you what, Matt. Thoughts going up there to the new crew members about to have their first Christmas in orbit. Amazing.
Yeah, and they all made it up there safely.
They did.
Which was
my new favourite astronaut, Mr. Tingle.
Mr. Tingle.
So, Matt, would you like a fact?
Yeah, give me a fact.
In 2015, Michelin-starred chef Heston Blumenthal teamed up with UK Space Agency, ESA, and NASA to design meals for British spaceman Tim Peake, which included his Christmas grub.
Do you like a bit of Heston Blumenthal and his sardine ice cream and things?
I think it gets a bit silly because no one can do it. But I think that's the point of going to his restaurant. I'd love to go to his restaurant. I've heard that the fat duck is incredible. But when he does his, you can make this at home. and it's like the perfect fish and chips that takes 4 days. Ridiculous. What are you doing?
But he did, Adam Buxton and his Moby song wouldn't be as good without Heston Blumenthal in it.
That's very true. Very true.
Yeah.
So shall we listen to Foale?
So we listen to Michael Foale.
Let's do it.
So I'm Mike Foale. I'm here in Noordwijk, the Netherlands. It's the first time for me. And amazingly, it's a sunny day here in Noordwijk at the European Space Agency's Estec Center, where I have learned that they test already fabricated satellites. And originally the astronauts, ESA astronauts, trained here.
Well, it's amazing to speak to you. Thanks for giving us some time. The first question is going to be a tough one. If you could go back and live one day again in your amazing career, which would it be?
Well, I think probably I'd relive the Hubble Space Telescope computer repair that I did with Claude Nicollier.
Sure.
And that's because at the time I was so nervous and worried about breaking the Hubble Space Telescope during that job that it's kind of spoiled it for me.
Right. I bet.
Did you get to the point where you were thinking, if I break the Hubble Space Telescope, this really is...
It was a very, I wouldn't have suicided, but it was very close to that.
It really was that grim.
Yeah.
So your Mir space station stay where you rescued Mir, is that not a personal highlight, or?
Well, there was no one particular moment on Mir that was, do or die, or well, there were a couple, but there weren't any moments that were dramatic in a sense for me. There were processes of working together with a Russian crew who I'd gotten fairly close to, and coming up with solutions and trying to convince them of ideas I had, and then having them properly critique them. In particular, when we tried to stop the rotation of the Mir after the collision and the loss of power. That period was a good period for me because I felt very empowered by the Russians themselves, the crew, to let me make inputs, come up with suggestions. But it was also a team effort, and one of the most poignant memories from that, which I wouldn't relive because it wasn't that great, was when they left. I was staying on the Mir station, and the new crew came up, Anatoly Solovyov and Pavel Vinogradov. They had already arrived, and they'd been there for 4 or 5 days. I was excited that I was going to do a spacewalk. I didn't know until Anatoly told me. It shows how much the Russians tell you stuff. But at the same time, my previous Russian crew, Vasily Tsiblev and Alexander Lazutkin, were leaving. And I felt very, very sad to see them go. And I realized just how special the time I'd had with them was. Not that I would relive it again, because I don't think Vasily really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I bet he didn't. So we were talking to the others earlier about Elon's speech in Adelaide a couple of weeks ago. Now, do you think we should be focusing on the moon right now, or do you think we should be solely focusing on Mars, or do you think there's room for them both at the moment?
There's not room for in any sense, in terms of money, for 2 programs. I don't think there's really room even for one at the moment, based on so little money. However, what I am surprised at learning, in my experience, is that going to Mars is actually a lot harder than we first thought. So, to some extent, a focus on the moon is just fine. We will get to Mars. And I'm not sure focusing on the moon will really slow us down going to Mars. I think this either-or decision is not realistic, because the missions to the moon and Mars both involve sustainable operations, ones which can be repeated logistically over and over, which was not the case for the Apollo program, which was a kind of, we're not going to stay, we're going to plant the flag and come back. So I think the development of technologies, both the safe haven idea around the moon at the moment, it's just come up recently with Russia and America making an agreement, and then with the interest of China and India, of course. Europe is interested. ESA is interested in going to the moon. I think the person or the groups that make the landers to land on the moon, they will do it for their own reasons, and they'll probably be more nationally paid for. But the infrastructure of the base, the transportation system, the Orion spacecraft, the service module that's being built by ESA, those systems, and the Space Launch System, which is this massive rocket based on the shuttle components in the US that will launch in a couple of years, those pieces are the key elements that take us not just to the moon but to Mars eventually. When I say eventually, I think that's in the 2030s or so.
I mean, do you think in 100 years' time the moon is going to be a kind of gas station for getting to exoplanets? Do you think we're going to just be using it as a base to harvest fuel?
No, I don't think so. You have to look at Antarctica as sort of an analogy, and I keep wondering, why aren't there more bases in Antarctica? And there aren't, because it's a difficult place to go to. It's got only limited specific economic returns, and I think we'll be in the same position with the moon. So I think there'll be lunar bases, but I don't think there'll be, unless we discover some diamond outcrop there, or some fantastic metal outcrop that we need. I don't think that industry will be there. But I cannot see and do not know how industrial fabrication in space is going to proceed. It may be an amazingly good economic opportunity, and if that happens, the solar system's the limit. We could have the asteroids mined and exoplanets for sure being explored.
Yeah, the asteroid mining thing for that particular scenario, I guess, is another stepping stone that could be seen as a stepping stone to Mars.
Yeah, but I think what we're missing is this replicative manufacturing. I mean, we're getting there with 3D printing and stuff, but we're not there, and that has to go through some major changes in technology development before we can really, set them off to go eat the asteroid to make the habitat.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure that will happen, but when it happens, we just don't know. It's like saying when's fusion going to be a major source.
It's quite interesting. I think that ESA doesn't really get the it just deserves, really. We've been listening to a lot of ESA astronauts in talking to them, and all the amazing work that ESA does. Is there something that you would really like to say about ESA that kind of really demonstrates how important they are to the space sector?
To the space sector.
Well, that's the whole of the whole of human space endeavour, I suppose, really.
Well, I've been working with ESA as a NASA astronaut since my first mission on STS-45, and their participation originally in the development of the Space Lab habitable module. That was the only large cargo bay mounted habitable module for tens of years. Was absolutely key to the utilization of the US space system, the space shuttle. And in fact, they were the precursors to building the ISS in that sense. I think today's participation by ESA in the Orion program shows their intent, and I say they, the country's intent, to explore beyond the space station. What I hope out of ESA and NASA and Russia is a commitment to not chuck away the space station in 2024, which is a tough thing to ask them to do because they have these limited budgets and they do want to go beyond low Earth orbit. And so I think there needs to be some massive entrepreneurial government initiative, loss leader type proposals and ideas chucked around right now so that we don't sink the space station into the ocean in 2024. It may be unmanned, I think it should be boosted, parts of it can be sunk, that's what the Russians call it, parts of it can be boosted up, equipment can be deorbited, but I think the core pieces of the useful space station should not be deorbited in 2024, even if it means putting it into a radiation zone high up above the Earth at 600 kilometers or 800 kilometers, so that when we do have a viable commercial market, and there's not a market, that's the trouble, there isn't a market beyond tourism, but when we have more commercial transportation operators, Boeing, SpaceX, Blue Origin, and others. I don't know what the others are right now. When those three, it's pretty impressive we got three.
That's true.
When those three are kind of, trying to get money out of space, maybe some consortium, some group will see a way of using the space station relic as a commercial return. And that's what I hope happens. I think that's actually a very imminent and urgent project that needs to be created. It hasn't started at all right now.
No. Well, that kind of leads into the deep space gateway as well, isn't it? If you've got a deep space gateway that's essentially a space station that's orbiting the moon, you think, well, where's those budgets going to come from?
The deep space, there's a lot of political incentive to do the deep space gateway because it allows, to some extent, the continuation of relationships that exist already between the countries. So Russia and America, they can just put a Russian-American core around the moon. It could be cislunar space, it could be Lagrange points, but it could be a safe haven. And if you invite,
Mike's just dropped off.
If you invite,
there we go.
If you invite China and India or other countries that are interested, that's all for the better, as long as everyone agrees on the docking system. Going beyond that, I think the program's become quite national in their intent. America's always going to be weird about making a lander at the government expense to land on the moon. They'll always try and get someone else to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's very hard to convince the public for something that they did 50 years ago, I suppose.
Correct. Yeah, and I think we'll see yet another change.
Well, yeah, has that been frustrating? The fact that American space policy does seem to keep making announcements and they keep essentially kicking balls into the long grass, hit left, right, and centre. Really, is that frustrating? Do you think that that's not been a great for space endeavour because we haven't had a strong lead from America?
Well, I'll say that I'm not surprised. When I was 21 years old, I wrote out a little plan, and I thought I would be on the moon by the time, lots of us do. I'd be on the moon by the time I was in my 30s, and I'd be on Mars by the time I was in my 40s, and I'm now 60. So none of that happened. But you have to look at what changed in the world in that time frame. And, enthusiastic as we are, those of us who believe in space exploration and humans living on in other environments in space, nonetheless, there's a real world around us made up of these 7 billion people, and they have different goals. And they're competing ones. And so I've learned that the only way to see forward is where there's self-interest involved for large groups of people, and millions or hundreds of millions of people. And so I think that there has to be some kind of industrial return from space. I think there has to be some kind of medical discovery or some kind of organ growth industry going on in weightlessness that makes people really want to do it. Tourism isn't going to drive it enough, simply because to go into orbit, I need a cubic meter, 2 cubic meters of gasoline, petrol, to get the energy to get me to the 8 kilometers per second to be in orbit. That's just not something anyone today can buy on their own, unless they're sponsored by work. So I just think we need the industry more than anything else. We need that discovery. And I think helium-3 is not it, by the way.
Right.
That's what you're thinking of. So, and water on the moon is not really it either, because it's such a rarefied substance. It's very hard to scar the moon with such a large amount of machinery just to get that small amount of helium-3. Yeah. So I just think we need that discovery, which hasn't happened yet. Well, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it'll happen. I just don't know when it's going to happen.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for it to be shorter rather than later. Now, Michael, what's your favourite space fact? Do you know one that would blow our minds? No? I don't believe you. No?
There's no space fact out there.
Well,
cool. Matt, next question.
Next question. Okay, so we've we've just recently on the BBC, they've played done a programme called Astronauts, which is basically people trying to become astronauts. What advice would you have for people who do want to become astronauts, and what piece of advice did you get growing up that kind of has stuck with you, that really stood you in good stead to become an astronaut?
Well, I'm asked this very often, and I talk to A-level students in particular very often about going into space, maybe 5-6 times a year with Mission Discovery. And in those, I've never changed the answer, and that is, do not change what you like doing just to become an astronaut by trying to guess what's needed. Do only what you're good at as well as you can, and then find the opportunity that uses that in space. And so if you're a ballet dancer or a painter, I can see it's tough to imagine the path today getting to space. But you might be a really rich painter or a very famous ballet dancer or something. And pay your way into space, or both. Yeah. So but if you're an engineer or a pilot, you can see how it can happen, or a geologist, you can see that's a bit more logical. But don't switch horses just to become an astronaut, trying to guess what people would want. That doesn't work.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we hope you have a good rest of the day in sunny Amsterdam.
Yeah, sunny Amsterdam.
Hope your cold gets better.
Thank you very much.
Well, I mean soon, rather than later.
Thanks, Jeff.
That was great.
No,
thanks very much. Appreciate it.
There is so much to love about Michael Foale, because he is, well, I mean, he's Britain's greatest astronaut, or the astronaut who is the greatest who was born in Britain, I should say. There was certainly a moment in that interview, wasn't there, Jamie? That was odd. But he was ill. To be fair to him, he was feeling pretty ill. He had a really bad cold, like I do now, and we were interviewing him out on a sunny day.
Yes,
out in Nieuwedijk.
Yeah, we felt a little bit weird when he didn't want to give us a space fact.
To be fair, we're running out of space facts.
We are. Yeah, there's not many.
No, there's not many.
Yeah, there's not many. So there's none, according to Michael.
We should congratulate space. We should congratulate SpaceX on their monumental success the other day of getting a used Falcon and a used Dragon up into space and returning the Falcon 9 yet again. Incredible scenes. Launch, land. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's a double.
Return. Just awesome. And then, of course, the Dragon will return as well.
It will.
So, yeah.
And we've just read, Matt, that he's going to be sending up some ingredients so that the crew can make some beer in time for Christmas.
There's no way they're going to be able to make it in time for Christmas.
Yeah, they're going to get absolutely steaming on Christmas Day.
I think that is the Independent being a little bit naughty.
Do you reckon?
Because, well, they'll get the barley seeds in time for Christmas. But there is a difference between...
And as we learnt, Matt, you can't have fizzy drinks on the space station or in space because the bubbles don't float up for you to release the gas.
So it's Budweiser. Budweiser have sent 20 barley seeds on that SpaceX launch.
They want to be the first brewer on Mars, don't they?
On Mars, yeah. Well, that's just something they're just saying.
I don't want to diss anyone.
No.
But Budweiser is a terrible tasting beer. According to me. I'm just saying me. Sorry if anyone's offended by
Jamie,
that.
I actually quite like Budweiser.
Do you?
And it's also it is the king of beers, or else they wouldn't be able to print that on the bottle, would they?
Yeah, I disagree.
No, it's not.
I'd say it's more like the court jester.
Well, I think it's growing up in England, it is hard to sort of really love lager in general, isn't it? Really, and I
disagree. I think you're hanging out in the wrong pubs.
No, I just
you've got to come drinking with me, Matt.
I just don't think you grew up with Banks's Mild, the nectar of the gods.
I didn't.
No. So again,
I used to drink terrible luck. But I think every 15-year-old, 16-year-old starts drinking terrible lager.
No. In Birmingham, we drink proper ales from the age of 6 upwards.
I used to have a paper round, Matt, that gave me £2 a week. And I did it one day a week on a Saturday morning. I got £2, and that £2 went towards me buying 2 bottles of Foster's Ice. That was my drink for Saturday night when I was 15.
Yeah, that. What
do you think about that?
I think that's awful.
Oh,
I think you had irresponsible parents, and
they didn't know.
Oh, what?
Sorry if you're just finding out, Mum.
Oh, wow. You are badness.
I'm going to get grounded, aren't I?
Yeah, we just used to go to the pub. First thing that we ever used to do, of course, is drink cider. That was the classic, wasn't it?
Ouch.
Anyway, that's regardless. This Christmas, of course.
Neither here nor there.
Hey, this Christmas, they'll have the joy of watching Star Wars on the Last Jedi on the International Space Station for Christmas. That's their Christmas treat, and it will be a treat, Jamie. No matter what you say.
What's weird, Matt, is you said joy.
Yes, and I meant it.
It's so weird because what I think you meant to say was living hell.
Oh! Before you go,
go on.
George and I did a quick Kerbal video of Space Rider on a Vega rocket. That's worth checking out if you get the chance.
This is George, your son, who's the lovely voice that you hear
at the
beginning of every podcast.
It's quite a funny video. We have quite a bit of banter in.
Chuck up the link.
I've done it.
Matt, I've told you about saying banter. I'm banning you from saying that. In 2018...
No, bants. You're banning me from saying bants.
Bants, you're not allowed to say banter. You're not allowed to say lads.
Nice.
This is all getting banned.
I tell you where's a good source of words that mean banter or chat is the song Elephant Talk by King Crimson.
I might go and listen to it straight away after this podcast.
Well, it's got Adrian Belew, collaborator of David Bowie and Brian Eno.
One of my favourite guitarists ever.
That's what all you indie kids say, and you don't know anything about him. I hate you.
What do you know, Matt? You know nothing.
It's like we're just not. We're gonna, Jamie. We've fallen out on this episode. It's been absolutely horrific. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. But don't worry. We'll have a brilliant Christmas and we'll come back all refreshed for our new year.
Exactly.
For our roundup of the year
it's
episode.
It's going to be a big year.
Happy Christmas, everyone.
Happy Christmas. Don't eat too much. I'm just kidding. Go for it. And we'll see you. Well, we'll probably see you in 2018.
No, we'll see you before 2018.
Even before then. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, we've got our roundup of the year special. In the new year, we'll be doing our What's to Look Forward to in the Year special.
Yeah, we will.
Excellent.
All right, guys, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, 5 stars, pigs in blankets. Get it done.
Awesome. Happy Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.